like to call to order today's meeting of the Town of Rome Community Development Authority, Thursday, April 6, 2023, at 3 o'clock p.m. Could I have a roll call from my left, please?
Jumati here.
Capel here.
Evenson here.
Cole here.
Shermahorn here.
Williams here.
Alrighty, and then could we have the certify of the posting of the meeting, please?
I can certify that on Monday, April 23rd, the Community Development Authority agenda for Thursday, today, April 6th, was emailed to the Wisconsin Rapids Tribune at 3:36, posted at the Rome Town Hall at 3:45, posted at Quick Trip LLC at 3:55, and posted at the Nakusaport Edwards State Bank at 4 p.m.
Thank you.
Sure, I'll bend your mic a little. It's really hard to hear it.
And then could we get the approval for today's agenda, please?
So move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all, that motion carried, thank you. Number 7, citizens' comments.
No comment cards received.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay, number 8, reports. Adams County Economic Development. Jamie?
I did not get a report from Derek for this past month. I was just trying to think of any items that occurred at their last board meeting. I think the one that is most relevant to the CDA is that they are finishing up that strategic plan. Remember, Derek got a grant that would pay for half, and he was working with Kristen Fish with her development company. And then the separate piece was the hotel study. That hotel study is completed, and they're working to finalize that strategic plan. I did invite Kristen Fish to come to our listening session, just to get some additional input, and then I think that strategic plan for Adams County Economic Development will get wrapped up, and we'll get a copy of that.
Okay, excellent, thank you. And then Jamie again, Parks and Rec.
So tonight at the board meeting, there is that license agreement with the school district regarding what's commonly referred to as Chester School Forest for the disc golf course. So that will come to town board tonight. The school board has looked at it. I don't believe they've taken a formal action. They will following the town board taking action, but the town board has reviewed it and is comfortable with it. Any comments they had are incorporated into what's on the town board tonight. So then we'll work towards next steps on disc golf course, and we're getting ready to restart our construction for band shell. We're hoping probably not next week, but the 17th. I think spring has finally arrived.
Hope so, thank you. All right, Connect Communities. Anybody have anything new this month?
I sent out the one thing that I pulled off about the summit that's coming up in, when, 2 weeks?
The end
April?
of April?
Yeah.
Is that the one that you had gone to previously?
No, I went to a smaller rural one. This is the whole statewide one, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Like over in Toma or something?
It's over in Mauston.
Mauston, okay.
So if anybody wants it, I'll just leave it right there.
And it,
But we do have funds
Yes.
in our, if you want to attend, we could work things out.
Unfortunately, I did look into my
Educational
calendar,
funding.
I just wasn't able to attend. Didn't work into my schedule.
What's going on this?
Yeah, it's April
this-
26th
yeah,
and
this month.
27th in
Yeah.
Mauston.
Crazy month.
Actually, the most, the day, if you wanted to just take one day and not go to both, because there's just tours the first evening.
Yeah,
and
the
then
first
get
evening I saw
acquainted.
that, yeah.
The guts of the conference are on the 26th or 27th.
Yeah, which is a Friday, unfortunately. If it would have been like a Tuesday, Wednesday type of thing, but I can't
They
take.
do have some nice things on there. It's just
Oh, and there's a-
so
and there's
much
a-
going on.
Right.
There's a
it's
bunch of
just a-
people in economic development at the
Yes.
state level that'll
Yeah,
be there, so.
I
it's
would
a
have
good
loved to have
contact.
gone, but unfortunately, being a start of a weekend, I can't go into it now, so.
Anybody else interested or no?
I can't get off
Yeah,
work.
it's hard with you're
Okay.
working.
Alrighty, thanks, Bill. Planning Commission, Jeff or Lori? Any updates?
Jeff can take it.
Yeah, it was the boringest planning commission meeting we've had.
it was the fastest one we've had.
It
in a long
was,
time.
yeah. We didn't have any serious action items.
Okay,
Next week, though, action items would include in R2 zoning, the draft language about taking that to 1 camping unit per lot in R2 zoning instead of 2 camping units. That came through Plan Commission and would be for public hearing. And also clarification to R3 multifamily, just better detailing out its duplexes through, I think it's 8 plexes or 12
Eight.
plexes.
Through 8.
2 and 8, okay. So those will be on the agenda for next week.
All right, Alcohol Beverage Licensing Review Committee, Bill?
There was no meeting.
No meeting. All right, thank you. Utilities Committee, Jamie?
No meeting.
All righty. Grant Subcommittee, Jeff?
No meeting.
No meeting. Rome Town Center update, Jamie?
Well, we had a very nice visit with Market Boutique right before coming here today. Their opening date will be April 27th, so very exciting.
You expand a little bit on it so that I could make it.
Yep, so the owners have an existing business in Oshkosh, in downtown Oshkosh, so this will be their second location. And they do a variety of apparel items and accessories, and then some soaps, candles, they had baby clothing, some signs, so it's a variety boutique,
Coffees,
they had some.
jellies, soups, homemade soup packages, things.
Like every
Handbags.
Handbags, jeans.
Very
Your wife would love it.
Wisconsin.
There was a tie, in case you're interested. That was the male apparel that they had out,
In the general store.
a necktie,
Or geared to female.
which I've given up,
Or
so.
geared to female.
Jackie restrained herself. It was me and Sharon that had the.
Yeah, the problem.
We also were at the meat market this week for the Business Alliance meeting. They talked about that they'll be doing some expansion with items that they'll be selling in the store, including selling bread from Higher Ground.
Higher Ground.
So that will be starting very soon. There'll be an exclusive retail sales location for Higher Ground breads.
Oh, that's cool.
That is very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then I think Tom is here. Did you say when the gift shop will be? Are they coming?
Gift shop is currently open.
Okay.
Golf course opens on Friday.
He
Oh,
opens on
okay.
Friday, yep.
And there is a tentative start date of around May 1st for the brewery. So they're hoping to assemble and be on site. So we're getting closer.
Excellent.
Still hoping to be constructed for opening end of summer.
Awesome.
So they'll be the band shell.
Yes.
No, I don't know. They'll be if we'll be parallel tracking it. It would be great to have Oktoberfest in the band shell.
They
but
might.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, not
They
the
might,
last
Tom.
week of September because I have to go to lacrosse for the for that one. But if we did back-to-back weekends, I'm not complaining.
All right. Then Sand Valley, Jackie.
Sand Valley joins everybody else in the community with hiring events. They are in the midst of hiring and training and getting ready for an April 28th golf season opening. Currently, the restaurants are not open. They'll be open middle of April. They're doing some renovations in the restaurant. That's why they're closed. If you drive in and you see the mountain of sand and then some movement of sand on the right-hand side, and as you drive in, that's all in conjunction with the Sedge development. And you can also see the tennis center popped up out of the ground over the winter too. So that's going on. So that's the development part that's happening right now. And there are a couple of homes that are under construction on the legal side. So there's a lot of construction going on there, but right now the focus is to get ready to open for the golfers on April 28th.
Excellent. Thank you. CDA Beautification Project, Lori or Jackie?
It's Jackie.
We have together worked on it, and Jamie kind of took the lead to get together for us a call to artists and a media release, and that has gone out. And so we'll continue to circulate that to some other communities and probably to connect to see that we can get as much exposure as possible to get qualified artists coming in. We've had one person,
We're up to 3.
3 persons.
Nice.
ask questions or submit?
They've asked for the submittal form and
Okay.
have had questions, yes.
So ask questions, and then there is a submittal form, and once they comply with all the information required on the submission form, we'll have some sort of method of having their samples put up so people can kind of help us decide what mural to use, provided we're getting appropriate submittals.
Are we gonna, like, do a display in the lobby here, or what is your plan for
That's
that?
a possibility. I don't know that it's been exactly decided. Some other thoughts are to form a sort of arts
Otherwise,
committee in
if you're gonna
town,
do
but-
that, I would suggest using the library, not doing it here. Because
Sure.
there's a much more traffic at the library than there is coming into the
Or
town
there could be
hall.
more than one location.
Okay, yeah.
Or even
But I would add the
somewhat-
library for
Or
sure.
even digital. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to do it, but the point is that the three of us don't wanna make the decision which one to
Right.
pick.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we'd pick the right one, but, you know, I'm just joking. It's a community thing, and, we wanna make sure everybody's behind it, cause I think it'll be a pretty exciting project.
It sounds very exciting.
And I think we would have a recommendation would go through both the CDA and the Plan Commission, because it would be, it falls under Plan Commission for essentially additional signage that would, and Town Board would look at it too, so it'll also, once either the final or the series of finals, it'll be in several committee packets and talked about at several committees, so.
We are hoping to do it this year, so, when it happens, we have to source the funding for it and then move kind of fast with these processes.
And I know I've mentioned this before, but I really think it would be so neat, it's part of the funding to go to lighting it at night. So where you just don't see it during the day, because that would be an additional cost wherever the mural is going to be, so that it can be lit up at night, so people at night can see it also. You know,
Something to consider.
Would you like to donate a solar spotlight?
I don't know, I just know it would probably be expensive to put a light above it too, but as part of the planning and the, I
Yeah.
just think it'd be so neat, just lit up at night also, and not just during the day.
I'm trying to think if there's a light on the corner of that building. I know that it wouldn't illuminate the whole section of that building, but I think there is a.
You could even have lights on the ground. I mean, just like Christmas lights where people illuminate their Christmas trees, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, but
Flag.
I
or
just
whatever,
think,
the spotlight that goes up.
Just getting the
Yeah.
electric run, cause it's all
yeah,
black.
so it could be lit up at night, because
Yeah, you'd have to do
especially we have
solar.
9 months of winter. I mean, it would be nice to just have,
You'd have it come down from
lit
the
up.
roof.
It's a good idea, we just have to look at the feasibility of it and get the mural done, and then,
Yeah.
keep that in mind to try to look
Okay.
at ways to light it up.
And understandable, this is the first one, right? Like, so
Yeah.
we learned from this experience. Maybe it's not perfect, but let's not make, perfect the enemy of the good. Like, we want to get started, and we can expand on them after we
right.
learn our best practices.
Awesome.
But we do have interest, which is nice.
This is awesome, yes. All right, then, our next section, number 9, I need approval of the March 2nd, 2023 meeting minutes, please.
I'll move approval.
A second.
Thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay, it's carried, thank you. All right, number 10, discussion and possible action on business sign survey results in the town of Rome Center.
So, included in your email from Bill was both the aggregate of just the totality of all of the surveys, and then a scanned copy of the surveys. I mentioned at the last meeting I would send you the scanned copy because like one had a Post-it note attached to it, so it wasn't necessarily under item number 2. Some people may have wrote in the margin, which wasn't related to the question of number 2. So I just wanted to provide all of the information. So I think we just saw the aggregate data. I had just got it in at our last meeting. So at this meeting, I think it's really just starting the conversation with, now that we have the information, how we would like to proceed.
quick question, was there anybody on the sign that you did not hear back from?
No, I had a 100% participation in the surveys that were provided.
Okay, cool.
Again, there was one business that said, I'm not gonna turn you back in a survey. I'm good either way. We appreciate you asking, but whatever your decision is, it's the
Alright.
right one.
Thank you.
And I did not provide a survey, they're considered Rome Town Center, but I did not provide a survey to Snow Bandits, the ski club, or to Tenhagen. They're not on the sign, and likely wouldn't be represented on the sign regardless of however
Right.
we would change.
All right. So thoughts of what direction to go? We have a pretty much a 50-50. There isn't, it's a 6 yes and a 7 no right now.
I like Tom wants to speak, but Tom spoke last time, maybe he'll reiterate what he had said.
Yeah.
You just make sure the light's on there, Tom.
Personally, from being a business owner in there, I'd leave it alone right now. We have space on the sign for future businesses. If you read through the comments we wrote on the sheet, we made a few other comments that would free up a few spaces on the sign. We got 6 spots currently available. Nobody on the agenda to build except for the brewery. They have a spot. The one Bison's gonna be changed over to the new company. I don't think it's a good move to take them down and upset the businesses that are trying to make it in the Rome Town Center right now.
Thank you, Tom. Anyone have any thoughts? I mean, I think we continue with the wrapping, of course, of the sign posts, but, you know, I mean, new signs, I guess, on there.
Madam Chair, number one, I went out this morning and took pictures of the sign the way it is, and I also went over to Syracuse to take a look at the wrapping. So I'm a fan of wrapping the posts. I think that project should go ahead. Based on the fact that we're almost 50-50, I would say leave it alone at this point in time, fill up the slots, and then worry about it. Because I won't be here and I won't have to deal with it. I thought I'd add that.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill, for your input.
Honesty.
Oh my gosh. I tend to agree with that. Just do the wrapping and leave the signs as is for now.
Until,
Could you
Problem
remind
arises.
In
us
fact-
the cost of the wrapping? The last estimate, I know it might have changed, but what? the
Can we get
Like-
the specifics? Do you have an actual,
I
a
do.
statement from the company or a purchase order figure from them?
Give me a second to find it in my email.
That being said, I'd lean toward the wrapping, leave the sign alone, but if the wrapping, I don't know what this number is, I'd like to know what that number is, because if that's too high, I would lean toward leaving it alone entirely.
Well, we already budgeted for the wrapping.
Yep.
And it is getting quite rusted.
Yeah, there is some reason for going ahead with the
Budget ahead of
wrapping,
time.
not just cosmetic.
Yeah. The bottom's all rusting out and the metal on the bottom is pulling out from the rocks, the screws are unscrewing. I
So
mean,
then
we can't
knowing
make
that, I'd
Yeah.
lean toward wrapping it, I didn't know it was more than cosmetic.
$22,650 is the estimate we've received from Graphic House.
Can we get some other bids on that?
We would, I needed an estimate for budget.
So 22,000,
I know, 22,650, and we budgeted, 20,000. Now, in the grant that we applied for to Wisconsin Economic Development for, I
we
appreciate
had
that.
put it in there, but
I put it in the vibrant spaces, but if you give me a second, I always appreciate the opportunity to find it in my email, cause I get about 100 a day, so it just takes a minute to find it. And I've been here 5 years, so, if I go to, cause I did put in there about improving signage, so if we would be awarded that grant, it would help offset some costs. That's my only thought.
I'm sure I'll make a motion that we do the wrapping, but leave the signage alone.
I'll second that.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay. Motion carried.
And piggybacking on that, while Jamie's doing that search there, I think we do need to look at the metal, you know, when they do the wrapping, they might run into something with the metal base and the rocks on the bottom, because it does look like that's corroding as well, and the screws are coming out, it's warping, as well as the rocks falling apart, so there might be some additional work that could come into that play if we are awarded that grant.
On that base, like that
Yes.
rock, okay.
The base, that it's
Yeah.
like, it's starting to warp, and you can see that in Bill's pictures.
So the Vibrant Spaces grant, we asked for 50,000 and 10,000 of that to go to public signage. So if we would be awarded, that would help to offset that
That would be great.
22,650 plus the potential of what it would be to, I don't know if that's real stone, like where we would need a mason, I'm
It
not
looks
sure.
kind of the
It's-
same like what we
it's-
have on Fire Station 2.
Yeah, which is not, it's,
It's fascia stone.
yeah.
Yeah.
But, we're gonna do some repairs to that fascia stone we had budgeted for Fire Station 2. Could they also, when that person is there, could they maybe do that at the same time? That might be something worth asking.
Sure. Okay, we can keep that in mind, maybe you put that in the notes, Bill, that'd be great. Thanks.
Is there any thoughts going into some kind of signage on D in Geneva?
Yes, and did I just close that? I still think there's the opportunity to do at least 2 of those wayfinding signs within the park. If we did one on D in Geneva, or on Geneva, like if you would make that turn, something there. I know that when we had sold the land to Quick Trip, we had talked to them about, we potentially might want a sign on the corner of that property that would direct you into Rome Town Center. And then probably one, if you make the turn onto, Timberline, where the big sign is, like after that, that would go left and right
Oh, okay.
to certain businesses. So those signs, which we haven't budgeted for, but are less expensive, each one of those directional signs would be $2,850 a piece. And even if we just started with 2 on those 2 large, major lead-ins, maybe that would be helpful.
Even just say town center? Like,
Yeah.
from, you know, just something simple without any business name on it, just, because I drive down D daily, and I've seen people in the middle of summer flipping 360s in the middle because they missed the road to go to the town center. They're down there and they're whoop, whoop, and they're going back. So it gets a little dangerous sometimes as they're just deciding to stop right in front of you and flip a 360.
Yeah.
Because they missed the road.
Well, and it could go back to the eat, play, stay, shop. I mean, that's what could go on that corner. You know, town center, eat, play, stay, shop with the arrow too. It wouldn't be as large, right?
Yeah.
But would be another,
Okay.
just to direct in.
Just something to think about, I guess, but
Um,
I just know that coming down D, there's no, except for the flag that goes up for farmer's market on Fridays, there's no way of really knowing where to turn to go into town center.
Would we be able to do something like with the top part, the Rome Town Center, with that motif? Not as large as this, but using that same style so that we're
Yep.
uniform?
Let me make myself a note.
It would be very similar to what we had in the Rome Town Design Manual that we had done with, our design plan.
It's even
that we
got
had
a
done with
band
Jeff
shell on it.
Sand.
That would look nice. That was,
Yeah, and that would direct people in, I understand what you're saying.
Just to get them into the town center, and then they
Yeah.
can find their way around, from there, but just to get them into the town
Yeah.
center, so.
It
Because on
creates some-
13, they can get there, but there's nothing off of D, tells them where to go, except for the flying flag on
I
Fridays.
like that idea.
That's a great idea, Bill, because it creates some uniformity, so then it's like,
It is. Yeah.
it's the sides, the 2 sides, so
It
it
is.
looks similar, and then it just, on a smaller scale, like you see on metal poles.
And-
you
So
know,
we would
it's-
make sure that the poles are the same thing as Syracuse. That
Well,
you,
it
or
doesn't
however
even
you're doing the
have to,
wrapping.
right?
It doesn't even have to be that big.
Do the new
Jamie.
sign.
Kind of keep it all,
Yeah,
Yeah.
keep it
There's
uniform.
samples in that plan.
Yeah.
You
Well,
can do it
I'll
on a
ask-
smaller scale.
Graphic House to put together something so we could just look at it as a group on a smaller scale. It probably wouldn't, it would be the same size as the ones that they designed that were directional in nature. I mean, they'll probably go that same size,
Oh, well.
but would redesign what it would look like.
okay.
But it would be double-sided, it would be the same on both sides.
Yep.
If you're
Yep.
gonna go with
Yep.
that design, then because people coming,
Yeah. From
Either direction on D would see it.
so it would have,
Yeah.
preferably a
I
double-sided
could even
sign.
see taller. I could see a little bit taller, so you can see it when you're coming both directions.
Both directions, yeah.
Well, then we could make, we'll do some additional pricing for the wrapping of that sign. We will have a couple new signs go up. We were waiting for the meat market, so the meat market will go up, but we'll, on this decision. But then I'll bring back hopefully a sample to the next meeting about one. I don't know that it makes sense then to do a wayfinding sign off of Timberline, because it's not, it's not effective unless you have a series of them, but
Right, if we can put that money then towards the main entrance one, and then maybe down the road, think about wayfinding signs.
yeah. And we could, with
A
Link,
grander plan of true wayfinding signs
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the Gateway District.
Mm-hmm.
with Link the Lakes,
Yeah.
we're gonna come in off of Anawa, so we could essentially then add the sign that we do on the one side of Geneva on
Yes,
the other
Yeah.
side to
exactly,
bring you
see?
in.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Then it would all like.
Flow.
Yes. That'd be very nice. Make it all uniform.
Okay.
All right, anybody have anything else right now on the signage? No? Awesome, thank you all. All righty. So then, we can move on then to the review, discussion, and possible action on the Gateway Overlay District in Rome Town Center, Commercial A Sub-District.
I would request that we would move this, well, never mind.
You sure?
I'm just watching the time and wanna make sure we get to the housing study thing,
Okay.
so we have, I mean, because there are things, we keep pushing these three things, those two things, 11 and 12, and it's just, I know we wanna get to both of them, and it's like, there's things to talk about, and I know the housing thing is getting important, so I'll just wait and see what others say.
I would only just point out with the two that were attached, you'll see that Gateway's truly an overlay, right? So it does provide a higher standard to a certain, to certain zoning districts. So the whole Gateway ordinance is short, right? It's 2 pages.
Yep.
Because what it's really saying is that these higher standards apply to these zoning districts. So the zoning district then, like the commercial A that was attached, is really where you're gonna see that meat of the topic. I just only, I point that out because I know when you open Gateway Overlay, it's like, oh, well, this is 2 pages, it's, it's pretty specific, but then it's because it applies as an overlay to those certain zoning categories. I don't know if a means of starting a conversation might be, though, identifying, in looking through the ordinance, what would be goals. Maybe that would help to set a stage, even if things were divided in that ordinance, like what would be the desired end result?
Their desired end result, I believe, is consistency for one, and that we make sure that we always, the message that is sent in that overlay district is that we stay consistent in enforcement. I know, under boundaries, I believe at one point, maybe Jamie, you can help with this, there's an editor's note in there with a map, but at one point, wasn't the 200 feet changed in the Gateway District outside of the Rome Town Center? In chapter 360 for zoning? But I think the meat of it is that the ultimate goal is that we stay consistent with our enforcement and understanding of what this truly means. So that then, how does it impact commercial A, and then the enforcement of commercial A? Which brings me to another point I have, but the others I don't wanna overstate. I want the others to be allowed to have a chance.
I was looking at commercial A, section B of the listed of all the types of permitted buildings. I don't see anything on there about storage facilities.
It's
storage
not allowed in
buildings.
commercial A.
So the storage buildings that are on Highway D opposite the church?
It's
they're
not commercial A, that's
Okay.
B1 business.
Okay, sorry, I'm learning all
Yep,
this.
yep.
now.
So your commercial A is located within Rome Town Center. So
Okay,
your,
so this is strictly Rome Town Center.
yep, so this is, chapter 360 zoning for Rome Town Center district. Rome Town Center is its own zoning, commercial A is a
Okay.
sub-district of Rome Town Center. Gateway overlay does apply,
Beyond.
Both.
That's
To-
where that would
yes,
be, and where the
yes.
one you had
Yeah.
talked about at another meeting on 13 would
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
so your gateway overlay applies to Rome Town Center, and then it applies from just north of Town Hall here to Apache Lane. And then from,
Or Apache Avenue.
Actually, yeah.
Apache Lane,
Oh, Apache
the
Lane.
essentially Arrowhead's electronic message board
Right.
sign is how I think
Yes.
about it in my head.
Right.
That's right, that's right.
And then it's like, ooh, look at my hand. From essentially Boat Barn to just past Storage Unlimited.
Okay, thank you. But you can see I did look at the list.
Right, exactly. But so there's lots of zoning classes within the gateway overlay. That's why it's an overlay to the zoning class.
I think I need a zoning class,
And they do have them.
different sort.
And I think it'd be very helpful if you all had a chance to attend one. That's, but. And basically, the first the purpose paragraph is what explains it very well. But if anybody doesn't see, if no one sees an issue with any of this and they understand it, the real crux of it all is in commercial A sub-district within the Rome Town Center. One topic that did come up by some business owners I had spoke with is that now as we're getting more businesses in there and interest, permitted uses versus conditional uses, granted, when you're out in the rest of the town, there's more spaces to have businesses. But we already have one mini golf place, do we want another one to come in? Granted, capitalism is great, but do we want another little mini golf center in there? Or do we want another bakery in there? Or do we want another gift shop in there? The competition is, do we wanna, is there some thought behind what we wanna now allow as more businesses are coming in? That question was raised to me, and I'm raising it to the group. Is that something we wanna think about? I don't know, does anybody else have any thoughts on that?
The difference between permitted and conditional, the conditional means they're gonna have to come and get
Our
approval.
permission, right.
Permitted, they can open it, but they still have to, they don't have to ask permission what type of store, just to get,
Yeah, these are,
Permitted means they can purchase the property, put up a structure, after they've gotten approval from the plan commission to go forward.
okay.
Right.
they would all need a site plan of operation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But permitted means that you wouldn't require that conditional use. You would do a conditional use first, and then you would do your site plan of operation. With conditional use, I'm channeling Nick right now. I can hear him say, "Don't forget Act 67." So, with a conditional use, you could set measurable conditions on a property, but a condition could not be, "I don't want this here."
Right.
Right. So, the, multiple of anything, multiple restaurants, multiple bars, multiple lodging facilities, multiple retail, I guess, I'm not, do we try to select who comes in, is what you're, I mean,
I'm not saying that, but I mean, it's like the winter, the concern was, in the winter, it's hard enough for them to survive in the winter. Do they need it's just a it's just
Right.
making the point, and like Jamie said, I can hear Nick in my head too.
there's just not a lot of any of these that are gonna be real strong in the winter. It's tough to be any business in the winter except for maybe a gas station. Yes,
Can
please.
Now, for Lori's point, would I be happy if another mini golf course built at the Rome Town Center? No, but if it's permitted business, it's permitted business. If you get another coffee shop in there, if it fits the description, you have to allow it. Look at what just happened to us.
Yeah.
Main Street Boutique, they're selling clothing, they're selling the same things we're selling in the gift shop. It's, you know, so would I be happy if another ice cream place moved in there too and did soft serve? No. But then it's gonna become competition, or one guy's gotta make the other guy a good offer and have him leave. I don't think we can start regulating I mean, I get it, you can regulate some businesses. We probably don't want an adult toy store in the Rome Town Center.
Not
I
allowed
get-
by the zoning.
I get that, but
Not
if
allowed by-
another,
In the Conservancy it is. but no.
and if another family wants to, build a grocery store, will we not allow them to build a grocery store? They can have the grocery store, but they can't have a meat market because we have a meat market. Or if somebody else wants another coffee shop, we can't have a coffee shop because the big, it's,
I'm not
I think
comfortable doing
that we need businesses, the town needs tax dollars. So if they got a good idea and they think they can make it in this town, go for it. But it ain't easy to make it in this town.
Right,
So.
I agree, 100%.
I would
Thank you,
think
Tom.
before a business came in, they would look at what's currently here, and if I'm going to come in here and open a mini golf, I'd be like, well, there already is one, is this really the best location for that? So they'd sort of figure that out themselves, and then if they did decide to come in, like Tom said, then it's, capitalism, I guess,
It's free capital, right.
I mean, we could always send out emails to different businesses in the area, and giving them ideas, I guess, and seeing if they'd like to come in, our packets, our marketing packets, stuff like that. But I don't think we can really change the permitted versus
Oh, I'm
the
not even
conditional.
suggesting that.
Yeah,
I'm just raising the question that
Yeah.
others have raised. That's
Yeah.
all I'm doing.
that's fine, I
The
understand.
this whole reason that this was in here was because of a situation that came up in spring.
Oh,
So,
okay.
you've gotta look at things that are underneath there as well as, are we
Could
comfortable
you
with
provide
our-
more context? I'm over here struggling with context of why we're looking at this.
A lot of this was due to what came up in the spring and the summer as far as certain things that happened and didn't happen as far as.
What things?
With the meat market and with other buildings where it was approved with 100-foot, 200-foot driveways in Gateway District, how it affected the town, the Rome Town Center and the Gateway District. And that's why this is before us as the Community Development Authority as well as the Plan Commission.
Right, so you're talking about that guy who had that computer thing right next to the boat barn?
Yes, that's correct.
That's one of
As
them.
well
And then the
as-
boat barn itself.
And the boat barn itself, as well as the Rome Country Meats. So with us being the Community Development Authority, as well as the Plan Commission,
Right, but didn't we discover that all three of those the computer thing, I'm sorry, the planning commission did, right? The planning commission, when we approved that, we stuck to the zoning. And I remember the man thinking about not going through with the project.
I don't know about that.
And
I'm
then
just
it goes
asking why-
to, and then when it went to the town board, they changed, and they
That is
voted
correct.
to allow
Some
it.
of the town board members did, correct.
Well, it passed, I should say, that way. And so I don't know that would we wouldn't have to change anything in here because
I'm not asking for anything to change.
well, I'm just trying to, like I said, I'm just trying to come up with a context for this. What paragraph should we look at?
I'm with you, Jeff. I asked that
We
when we
followed-
first got the assignment,
Yeah, we followed
but then I was part author with
Somebody
this,
wanted
so.
to put it with the subcommittee, and you didn't want to have it on the subcommittee
Right,
anymore.
no,
So it's like CDA is CDA and Plan Commission are supposed to work cohesively.
but I'm not sure.
So,
I asked
it was
to
supposed to
point
go
out
to a
what needed to be
subcommittee.
changed or what needed to be
Yeah.
looked at, and I haven't gotten an answer yet.
Yeah, in any of those.
Other than, look at this. Well, I did.
Yeah, in all three of those scenarios, both planning and CDA followed the letter. Because if I recall, the owners of the boat barn came and said that I think I missed that meeting, but he said that he got verbal approval. it was like a miscommunication on the colors?
On the, because the color that was originally presented to Plan Commission when they made the order wasn't available any longer. So we did talk about it at Plan Commission, but they determined that it wasn't a substantial change, so it wouldn't change site plan. So that was added to the property file, that the change of color wasn't a substantial change.
Right. And then with the meat market, there was language that was confusing, if I recall, that was changed, right?
No, the language wasn't changed, but the property owner did agree to carry the 50% within 36 months of opening to the other sides,
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
The other piece I would point out is, with the change of website and between the CDA and the Plan Commission, we've worked really a lot on that checklist that goes to new businesses also. And we've had the conversation here is we've had the property sales come up about what they need to submit. And we've made it much stronger on what is that list, which would include things like that you've reviewed the information in the zoning ordinance, you've reviewed the design plan, you've done a market analysis that shows that what you're forecasting for projections if you would open the business, that we're requiring all of those items now when we're considering an offer. And it's been very helpful with the new community development page. That information's on there, so if there would be a new business, I've referred them to say like steps 1 through 4 is where you'd start with us.
See, and I think that's where the clarity's now coming in, Jeff. This has been carried over for so long, as it has been on Plan Commission. All these other things have come into play now that's kind of straightened it out for us. So if there's any other topics on here, do we need to clear them up now? But we're still, it's kind of straightened itself out, even though there were some issues that caused it in the first place to be here. But it was gonna go to a subcommittee again where, well, the CDA needs to really maybe take a look at this because we're community development and Plan Commission needs to take a look at it because the decisions come to town board and we're like, well, we're taking stabs in the dark and we're kind of hit and miss here. There's not continuity of what we're doing. So that's where the checklist came into play. So that happened and now this is still carrying over. So is there anything here yet that we need to think about? So are we good? Then we can take it off.
Yeah.
I think that's where Bill is too.
Yeah, I think we're
Point me,
good.
point me in a direction on
Turn
that.
it off here.
Should,
Losing
Cheryl's got.
I forget your name on the front.
Jeff.
Jeff, I get what you're saying, like the CDA makes a recommendation to the Plan Commission. You guys both do your jobs, and then some of these jobs end up on the town board's desk. And the town board has to treat all new businesses in this town the same way. I mean, they can't make one guy on D go 200 feet and the next guy go 75 feet. They can't even vote that way according to the state statutes, and yet that is happening in this town. And that is the big problem. They have to vote the way the ordinance is wrote. Let's go back one more step now that I'm up here. I remember when Quick Trip came before that sign up on the hill by me. Quote from you, I'm not gonna allow Quick Trip to have 2 non-conforming signs. Remember that? I went and found the zoning code. Before that came to you guys theoretically, a variance showed up after the fact. If you knew about the variance before that sign got presented, you would have never said, I will not allow 2 non-conforming signs. The paperwork that's in the office also has to go out to the CDA and the Plan Commission so that when you guys are making a decision, you're basing it on the current knowledge. That decision was voted on without you knowing that there was a variance on that sign. So again, according to the state statute at that point in time, there's no way the Plan Commission could have approved the sign on the hill because it had to be removed according to the town ordinance. So the people that are voting up here, I don't care if they like the ordinance or not, they have to vote the way the ordinance is wrote. If they don't like the ordinance, then they have to go before the Plan Commission and get the ordinance changed. But members of the town board or the Plan Commission or the CDA cannot vote with their feelings on issues that have an ordinance attached to them.
And that's all I was simply trying to do is make sure that we have continuity between the three bodies, which is why I asked that this be brought before the CDA, so that there is continuity here, and it's been carried over, like I said, so long, that some things have taken place. It's just that, so we're all consistently understanding the same thing, and that's why it's still on our agenda, so I appreciate your question, but that's all I was looking for too,
Yeah.
Did you have
when
some
it was
wording
brought
issues?
before us.
Did you have some wording issues?
I just wanted to say that I think that, the actual zoning, the commercial A sub-district is good as it is. I don't think we need to make any changes. If anybody else, wishes to, say anything different, but I'm thinking we can probably move on and just leave this as is.
I would agree. I would agree.
Just because our zoning administrator agreed with that and looked at this and said the same thing, because we have a zoning administrator, is that where this came from, or?
No, it came from this committee. From
From this committee,
yeah.
I guess that'd be my
And
only
plan,
thought, is
I
if
brought
the
it up
zoning.
at plan commission, rather than sending it down to the subcommittee, which had a lot on their plate already, sending them more work, that we had an understanding between the three bodies.
Yep.
Because ultimately, when it was coming to town board, we were,
Guess that'd be the only thing I would wanna just see, that she should be the expert on this, and if there's anything that's,
Yeah, the transition from the old
missing
zoning
and-
administrator to the new one, there was some lagging in between there, but I think she's aware of this,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
she's doing a very good job now of getting us back
Yep.
on track.
Alrighty then, I think we can just take it off the agenda,
Thank you.
going forward. Alright. Thank you. Unless you have something else you wanna,
The only thing is, there were other sections that we were asked to review. I don't know if you want to go forward with those or not at your next meeting.
That
Well,
I
we
didn't ask.
Oh, it would have been all of Rome Town
That was
Center.
asked-
Right, I just gave commercial, we were gonna start with commercial A, but
Right.
if we have comfort level, I don't know if we need to go through.
It was a
all-
wordsmithing issue, if I understood the thing correctly, on some of the other sections.
Yeah.
But I haven't looked at them.
That issue has come up, yes.
Okay, but I haven't looked at those, and
And we could
I
do
worked
the-
on both of these, so it's hard for me to go back in there and say, well, we did this wrong, we did that wrong. We spent a lot of time, getting the right wording on this stuff, so.
And I promise you, no matter how clear you think the wording is,
It's, somebody will bring in controversy, I
or they will
understand
say
that.
that there was this piece that wasn't included and that's the piece I want, right? Like, it's that,
Oh, yeah, I mean, I understand it, but you gotta be willing to deal with those as they come up.
yep.
That's correct.
So, I guess I'll make a motion that we just place this on file.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried, thank you. All right, number 12, review, discussion, and possible action on the University Alliance Housing Studies.
I read one of them, and the one I read was attracting and retaining young professionals in Adams County. And this was independent student research, University of Wisconsin-Madison. And, I just made some general notes. It's a pretty long study. So this is about Adams County, and a lot of this, I think, has more application for south of us, like here in Rome. But I don't think most of this is any surprise. There's a scarcity of workers between the ages of 20 and 40 years old. Population has been decreasing over the last decade. And just the median age is 53, but 30% of the population is over 65.
I'm below average.
But some of the things that are
that make me
negative
above average?
are negative job growth. There's 72 counties in Wisconsin, Adams County is 67 out of 72. Now, some of that might be changing as we do have more businesses in here, basically, and there's some new businesses in Adams County. Part of that is a need to increase housing availability. They gave some ideas how to do that. that would be rebates from the municipality, commercial rehabilitation loan programs, those kind of things are laid out in that study. Then also the reason young professionals are not coming to Adams County is the health status is poor, 69th out of 72 counties, and drug use, 71st out of 72 counties. I think only Milwaukee is the higher. So that was quite startling to me, opioid use, and so I guess that prevents a conducive community for young professionals. And so, and also binge drinking. They did have some ideas that they mentioned. One, they think they should maybe start this with the younger the better to try to turn this around and create something that they call chance cards. It's more or less a card system where students get this, and if you have good grades, if you have good attendance, if you have this, you have that, you get a sort of, we'll just call it a star on your card, and then that can turn into an ice cream cone or a round of golf at Papa Bears or something in the community to just encourage positive behavior among kids. So it's not so much something we could do here in Rome, but we could certainly be part of it if somebody wanted to do it in Adams County. And just in fact, the population itself has a negative perception of future outlook for the county. That's why I think they tried to do some more work at the YMCA, and that was not approved, and not in support of some new projects that they've had come up down there. So I'm kind of Debbie Downer with reading this, but so then they think community service is an idea. Get your high school students, get people more involved in community service to increase their pride in their community. I think we do some of that here in Rome. We're trying to do cleanup projects. They didn't think their social media was very effective. They needed to centralize their accounts. They had a Facebook page or some page that had not been looked at like in 3 years. If you opened it, looked at it, hadn't been updated, so it was useless. And there are positive things. There's a lot of outdoor features, parks, lakes. So overall, there's work to be done to improve the county in order to attract and retain young professionals. So, and if you wanted to read the entire article, well, you all have it, or I have it printed off here. But I guess the bottom line is that you need to create a safe, clean, and positive community. So my take on it is, that's all, we are in Adams County, but our school district is Nakusa. We're kind of a crossover here. But what can we do here to try to keep that same negativity or drug use or all of that from happening here in Rome? That we should just keep that in mind when we do different projects and things to try to improve our positivity. And the one thing for me I'd like to start working on is a better network of communication. And I've talked a little bit to some people in the community. It's just a little idea sprung up is to have maybe some sort of a newsletter for the town that could be done in conjunction with Visit Rome and the businesses to end some of the negative PR, some of the wrong information, and things like that. So that's just something that I would encourage working on if anyone else felt the same way about it. So.
I know Lori's brought up newsletter before too, and I think some of it is just capacity and funding, right? It's not to mail something to the whole community is several hundred, maybe $1,000 depending on what the style of the newsletter is. I don't disagree. I think that's really interesting about, I'm sure they were looking at the county social media when they were doing this, but I will share perspective that there are several social media accounts here in the town where you have to join them.
Yes.
Any place you have to join to get information is not fair information for everyone to access.
Yes.
Correct.
And then
correct.
when you join it and you ask a question that's related to the town, if I can't be a member or haven't asked to join, cannot reply to your question in an educated manner because I never saw that you asked it.
Right.
So if anything, I mean, that might be another piece in the communication is us as the Community Development Authority or the town saying, please refer to the town's Facebook
Yes.
page. Or please use this central location instead of having all of these subsets.
And that's the idea with this newsletter, call it what you will, and I think Visit Rome would be willing to help with this, and he can help with the writing of it. And I'd view it more as a digital type of newsletter that's sitting on the town website, and sitting at things that are actually approved by the town, which I think Visit Rome would be town's website, and then if businesses wanted to have it on their website, if they had a method of, letting us know that they're posting it, that we know who's got it. So it's just an idea.
And that's very similar to what Dan Minter and myself had brought up before the holidays. We had talked about it, and it's similar to something that he does with the school. A digital newsletter. So I'm not sure who you were speaking with, but that's what him and I had talked about. We even brought it up at the second voters forum, that we had talked about that, and that was something we would like to do, and he's got background in doing that sort of thing.
So
So-
whether it's.
The
I don't
Nacusa School
know,
District?
No, Assumption.
No assumption.
Who what body is that would do this, whether it is CDA, whether it's, your
I
plate
think
is pretty full,
CDA.
Jamie, or if someone just volunteers to do this, to at least get a committee together. I think it should be more kind of a community committee, so that we.
No, no, I'm also, in bringing up that perspective, if it is a digital newsletter, Visit Rome does a great blog site, right?
Right.
And is it something that it's more, the problem, anytime you print something, which is the same thing we face with our economic profile, you print it and
It's
you're out
old.
of date, right? So if you, even having the blog where you're having a continuous rotation of things that are always getting added, might even be, something where you're still getting that newsletter feel, but it's not stagnant.
So, and if you'd like Visit Rome to take the lead on it, I've mentioned it to their executive director, and we'd be willing to put it on our board meeting to approve to do something like that, at least discuss the possibility of it.
I don't know how the committee feels, but just to discuss it, right? I mean, you gotta start someplace to have a conversation and see if it even,
Would you like it on your next agenda?
So, number one, Jamie's right, you can't do print. You can't print it.
Right.
Right.
If it were printed, it would be limited copies, like, available to pick up.
But I have a couple thoughts. There's actually a lot of grant money out there for this specific topic about getting communications out. That's how Encourage got the money that ended up starting our newspaper. They got a $185,000 grant. And it was from the Knight Ridder Foundation, and it's because of the decline in rural journalism. And there's a lot out there for that. There really is. The other thing is, I think social media does it right. Like Facebook. I mean, I bet there's other municipalities out there that are doing. I mean, I'm not saying we're doing it wrong, but are exceptional at their Facebook page, getting information out, and I bet we could learn something from them. Talk about it, I guess.
I also think that, not to interrupt, there are some that get their Facebook page really, really well, but they also get their website really, really well. I know a lot of people prefer Facebook, but there's also a lot of people that stay off of Facebook because of the turn it's taken.
Right now.
Me included.
I think I can count 5 different Rome Facebook pages, some that are exclusive, some that you can join, some that you can't, some that you join and then you get blocked, or, I mean, they don't encompass everybody here, just like Jamie was saying,
Right.
so. Well, anyway.
But we could actually affect that by every time we're on those pages, go to the town, make sure you're following the town. That's where your information is going to
Might
come
get
from.
censored.
But may I
I've
just
done
bring up-
that, and I got blocked.
But may I just bring
Same.
up that, the newsletter idea, I think is really great, and I think it's something super for a super idea for the CDA to bring back on a next agenda item.
I'd be interested in following through on that.
Because I know that, Visit Rome has an incredible writer, he's writes some great, I've met him myself personally, I was fortunate enough to meet him, Lydell. And he's really a great writer, and I think if he can, I don't know if we do this, it's a joint effort between us or if it's a separate effort, because I think there's two different types of information, there's town information and there's Visit Rome information. So how do you combine those? How do you keep them separate? Because there's town facts that we need to get out about the transfer site, about the dog park, about town business versus great things that are happening in Rome. So, but then there can also be collaborative efforts there, and I appreciate what you're saying, Jeff. And then, but Facebook pages versus the town website for the information, and right here it says if we can get back, if you don't mind, unless you had more to say, I don't want to interrupt you, because you might have more to say because you're on a good path, but.
I'm rolling.
But if we can bring it back in a newsletter place about sharing information, but if you had something
Yeah,
else.
well, the other thing, the newsletter thing is, I don't see anything wrong with like combining those two messages that you were talking about. I don't necessarily see them very different. And if we're going to actually create a newsletter, he's going to want content. He's going to want help.
That's true.
So
That's not a bad idea too.
yeah, so
We can look at it and see
Yeah.
where the collaboration is.
You could go as far as having, like, the pictures we took today. You can post that in your month, make it a monthly newsletter. You don't have to go every week or something like that. You can have contributions from CDA, from planning. You can have contributions from local businesses in the area or from somebody that's just giving positive reviews on the town or anything that's coming up. Say you've got a voters forum you got coming up, or you have the meeting at the 14-mile watershed that somebody wants to announce for the next month, or just something you can put in the monthly newsletter that it can be posted not only on the town website, but on the town Facebook page, so that it can be shared social media, but it's also on the town's actual website. Tom?
But somebody has to be in charge of everybody knowing that this is where they send their
Right.
info to, because somebody working in the town surfing the internet for all these other, it doesn't work. So there's gotta be a point two person that everybody knows in town.
Or a general mailbox, or something that they can send it
It's all
to?
feeding into one
Trying to
entity,
Mm-hmm.
otherwise,
fill by doing.
because there's a lot of miscommunication out here.
That's
There's a lot of miscommunication.
that would be a part of a committee and everything, once it got established in the way it went, how it would go somewhere, but,
Madam Chair, Bill had something here.
yes, Bill?
2 comments. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
yeah,
And communication is always going to be a complaint by the
That's
people,
right.
the general populace out there. That's 40 years of experience talking. Number 2, anecdotal. I ran into a couple coming out of the bank the other day. They're looking at the agenda of the meeting for tonight, and they're complaining, why isn't east of Highway 13 on Apache Avenue getting any attention? And I explained to them that it already had gotten attention and that it was already getting a state grant for the paving of it. But here they are concerned about, they stopped, they looked, and they read one thing and they're off and running. Nothing's happening east of Apache Avenue would have been their message. Now, I just heard that. That's how things happen in this town. That's exactly how things happen in this town. One person picks up one piece of information and goes off with it and starts running. I don't know how you can build a communication vehicle that will ever stop that from happening.
I don't
And
think
next
there
door
a
is
way.
rampant right now. I mean, during the election thing, they were just going crazy. And I got censored for something that wasn't even, I went back and read it and I said, gee whiz.
yeah.
So-
Avoid
so-
next door at all
Whole
costs.
can of worms
You
here.
did.
Well, I'm just suggesting that
we're
it's,
off- and we're off
communication is
subject.
always gonna be a problem.
We're off
What,
subject.
And-
what you're
and-
all saying is, what I'm thinking is the reason that we need
To,
something.
you do, I think you do.
What it
We
is
do,
exactly
yeah,
and
we
how
do.
it's framed, I can't say right now, and there's a lot of really good ideas and talent all around. So
Right.
I'd just like to harness some of that talent and get some people together and brainstorm, and.
I think that's this committee, right? Like,
That's why I want,
Yeah,
like, where
that's
does
here.
that sit?
Yeah.
You know,
I think
know
it's a
I
good
need that
starting point.
support
Yeah.
from Visit Rome, whether it's with a writer or,
Because
elsewhere, so.
it would be.
And I think it's a great topic that deserves its own time and attention on
Oh,
an
yeah.
agenda item.
So.
And I
that's
just,
all.
and I don't mean to steal any more thunder from that, but I really wanna get to some of your key points on your outline, cause I think it was great. Because what came to my attention on here is if you look at the very, second bullet point, Adams County population has been decreasing over the last decade. Cause I sat on the Adams County Board for a long time. Our median age is now 53.4. For the longest time, it was over 60 in Adams County. Now it's saying 30% of the population is over 65. It used to be like right around 62, 63. So that's dropping percentage-wise. Then I dropped down to the one where it says Adams County health status is poor. Well, we've known that for a very long time because we get those reports out from the Health and Human Services Department every several years, and it's ongoing, and they call us a food desert, which is really sad because the southern part of this county is all ag. It's like if worse comes to worse, we could eat, it sounds crude, and I'm not trying to be crude, but we have food here. We shouldn't be a food desert. The next curious thing to me is that we're now 69th out of 72 counties. We've actually moved up. That's good news to me, because we used to be 72. I was thrilled when we were 71, because the other place we have land is the poor county, and that's Florence. And we almost lost our school district a number of years ago. Now, they just passed a referendum down here on Tuesday to fund their school district for another 4 years.
Thank goodness.
Florence wasn't almost lost theirs
Yeah.
4 years ago. So at least we're moving up. So what makes me really, really sad is when we go down to this one, it says the residents have a negative perception of the future outlook of the county. People just don't understand what we have here. So it seems to me like it goes back to what Jackie's, we have a communication issue here, and the leaders aren't doing, it's all on us. The leaders aren't doing what they need to do. And that we have 20 representatives sitting on the county board that didn't even communicate about a referendum for ATVs and UTVs on county roads. And it was a referendum that people voted on. How many people knew about that before they got to the ballot box?
For the record, I learned of it from the Monroe Prairie
I
ATV
did,
Club.
well, and I'm
On their
in the
Facebook
club,
page.
and I'm on the
On their
club.
Facebook page,
So if
exactly.
you're in the club, you knew and you were following it, but when I called my county rep here in town and I talked to him about it, who sits on Highway Commission, that's how I knew about it, and I talked to him my feelings on it. I said, you need to come and talk to the town about that. The county, so I'm saying, we're back to communication, because here we just went through these other things I pointed out to you, being a previous county board member, but yet people still think we're a bad county. We've got so many good things here. So we need to, it's all back to communicating, and that's right here. So I didn't mean to, I'm not lecturing, but it's all just piggybacks together, and that's what we're about. So we have to find a way to fix that. So this was a good report, even though it may not have dealt with this particular area, but it does, because we're the biggest economic driver right now that's gonna affect some of this. But
And how many times have all of us heard either someone that's moved here, even on next door or gone someplace, and they've said, I love Adams County. I visited there every summer with my family. I have such fond memories of it. It's such a great place. Like, I just yesterday was at the Capitol advocating. The gentleman had a Whistling Straits poster, and I said, oh, have you been to Sand Valley? Oh, it's way better than Whistling Straits.
Straits. Yes. And we were at Capitol Day last week, and they were like, oh, Adams County. I used to go there when I was a kid and play it's like, yeah. So, thank you, though.
And on my housing study, this is gonna kind of piggyback, but the truth is that the residents that live here, the majority of them leave the county to work. Majority of our employees come from another county into work. So that is telling me that the people that live here don't want to, they go someplace else to work. Why is that? I mean, is it,
That, I would think they're going for higher paying jobs.
You know, and so is a lot of the complaint, is a lot of the complaining and the things that are going on, the negativity in our town being generated by the people that live
Well,
here.
if you look at the town of Rome separately from Adams County, you almost have to leave this town to work because your property taxes and your home mortgages aren't comparable to anywhere else in Adams County or Nagusa. I mean, we are, let's say, the Lake Geneva. So for families to really live in Rome, they almost have to work somewhere else. I mean,
It's also in Adams County, though. In Adams County, as a county, they do not, they live in Adams County, but they drive out of the county to work. And people,
I drove to Stephen, I
Yeah.
drove to Portage County for
Yeah.
11, well,
and so
6 from here.
there's the study that the people want better internet here, they want more diversity, they want range of services available, and they want better employment opportunities. There's no public transportation, but we have the fastest growing type of employment is your natural resources, your leisure and your hospitality, and then a public administration. And so we have to, I guess, try to get better bring jobs in order for more people to actually live here, to work here, I guess. I mean, that's the reason for the housing study is a lot of the jobs are not high paying in order to afford the houses that are here. Yes.
There's limited specialized jobs here. It's just in the service industry, in
Right.
your restaurant, your bars, and there's really nothing that will draw people in because our job market is just like the same. I mean, it's the same jobs. We really have nothing else. There's really nothing else here. It is your service industry and your,
But I got a couple of anecdotes to add to this. I work for a company in Portland that was bought by a company in Boston, so now I work for a company in Boston. And there's a couple of neighbors around our house. There's one house with Minnesota plates, you know, every weekend typically. But when the pandemic hit, that guy, he moved down here.
lives
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
work from home.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Several neighbors like that,
And
yes.
that's a very valid point, and I brought up Florence, which is the other place we have land and stuff, and we camp up there, and we have, you know, family has cabins and stuff. A lot of younger families, especially during COVID, they moved up there, took their kids, you know, they weren't in school anyway, and they were homeschooling them. They are working from home. You can barely
think
find
a
a
lot of
place to
families,
buy
yeah.
up there anymore.
From
And it
time.
is growing
Absolutely.
leaps and bounds, and I think that's the same thing here. But again, it's the affordable housing. That's the only thing that's keeping people from being able to work from home here too. So I don't know, it's a.
And the
it's a-
weather.
And the weather, and that's the problem.
What?
with the
Come
health
on.
providers.
Yes.
The health providers don't wanna come here anymore because they don't wanna deal with the weather, but that's a different subject, we're getting
know,
off topic.
I know.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
some
We
of
gotta write
it,
this
so
in.
you're
We've got
looking
another
at,
meeting.
to me, things that evolved and happened during, we'll say, 3 years of COVID. And a lot of people then did come to their recreation place, A, because they could, B, to get out of a more populated city where they thought they might have a higher risk of getting COVID. And C, their business allowed them to work from home and developed a plan, just like Jamie worked from home quite a bit during COVID. I won't use an example, or my husband did, or other people, but
Not me,
now-
like I wasn't here.
Jamie was here, that example, but okay, what I'm saying is now this is kind of a blip in this point in time. Now these companies are pulling these people back, they're saying.
I will never work in an office again,
Yeah,
ever.
some people will not, and some people didn't think they would ever have to, but these large corporations are realizing, we have a huge office building here, what are we gonna do with it? And they're starting to call people back to work because they find there's higher productivity for some employees if they're in the building and they interact and meet with people. So it's kind of a unique circumstance that we're in right now to see where it's all gonna settle. It's kind of interesting.
But I did find that the USDA offers a loan program that it does apply to the majority of Adams County, that they can apply for it. It's for rehabilitation and moving into existing structures, 0 down payment, and 100% financing. It must be their primary residence, so it's for low to moderate incomes. So this loan can be used for upgrading your kitchen, bathrooms, living areas, additional structures or alterations, energy conservation, septic systems, wells, removal of safety hazards. And so, if more people are aware of it and try to get these places that are, kind of, say, run down, and that they can get improvements with this loan. And so there are ways to get the rural areas upgraded.
Can we get copies of yours?
Yeah, I handed them out last time, but I'll get you some more.
I'm very sorry.
It's okay, I'll get more.
I apologize, I didn't read your copy.
That's all right. Bill, I see you have one here.
I did. I understood the assignment to review these in the way they apply to housing and anything that we may have missed in our survey, so that's what I did. And the only reference to housing in the study called Review of Engaging a New Workforce was the fact they mentioned that there's a abnormally high percentage of mobile homes in the area, 23%, which is quite high. And the author pointed out that mobile homes only depreciate in value; they do not appreciate in value, no matter what. And that you were better off getting your people to move away from the mobile home type atmosphere and get them into some kind of a multifamily housing unit would be a better option.
They're also dangerous for a tornado or high winds and stuff too.
The rest of the article echoes exactly what has been said here, and it dealt mainly with how to attract millennials and Gen Zers into the workforce. Because Gen Xers are already at the top.
Yeah, Gen X is turning 50 in September.
Awesome.
The only thing I would add to the 3 reviews, thank you guys for doing that so much, is as part of the Rural Partners Network. Remember, that's the cooperation with the USDA. We were selected as part of cohort 2. There are 3 in the state of Wisconsin. That group has had to pick
Go ahead, when you're done.
a signature project, and there was a series of brainstorming, but the focus, I'm sure that there will be umbrella projects underneath it, but that signature project will be focused on housing, and specifically multifamily housing, how to get some more housing units in Adams County. And the good part about that is, if that's the signature project, we bring the force of the federal government behind it and partners within the federal government that can maybe help Adams County with that topic.
Awesome.
Because you can't even get mortgage loans for manufactured homes, and that there's banks that will not even, so there's no growth as far as that concerned. There's no turnover as far as age-wise people living in Adams County, because people can't get mortgages. You can't get a mortgage on a manufactured home or
They don't hold their value.
no, banks aren't doing it.
That's not true anymore. That's not always the case anymore. There are many different lenders out there that are doing that. There are different, and.
In our area here?
Yes. And in counties up north, because there are manufactured home and mobiles. I live in a double wide manufactured home, and people are buying these homes in South Lake Arrowhead and they're flipping them. They're fixing them up. So you're excluding a part of the population in Adams County that people don't understand. They're thinking of them as trailer trash. And that's a very.
Well, I don't think of them as
No,
that.
no,
I just said.
I'm not saying you
we-
are. I'm not
I
saying you
know,
are.
I had friends that tried and they couldn't, they wouldn't, but.
It depends on
One
where
was
you go.
one was through VA also, so that
Yeah, the
I
VA
don't
is
know.
the VA is very-
But,
The VA won't. The VA.
but I'm just saying that,
And I'm
I've
not
just
saying that
heard
you're
people
judging,
complain.
But people don't.
I'm not
always-
judging the home, I'm just saying they're making it difficult,
Right, and there's a lot of places that are developing now in different states where they have, like park model type, larger scale developments of smaller communities where 55 plus and even younger, where they're realizing those are the types of developments that you can get home ownership a reality.
I would like to go for one of these small home parks and that where people are putting up these mini home.
The
What do
tiny
they call
homes?
it? Tiny homes. I mean, and these are young people that want these tiny because they can actually move them if they want. You know what I mean? So that's
There are different types of housing out there, and it's not just multifamily, it's not just
Mm-hmm.
duplexes, it's not just apartment buildings. We have acreage here that you find the right type of developer, they'll bring these types in, they've got them all over the West Coast, they've got them in Nevada, they've got them out in Virginia, West Virginia, Florida. They're nice, well-built communities that they appeal to people our age and older, and these younger ones that wanna get into housing to live where they work and they play.
absolutely, and that's why these tiny home communities are popping up because people can have multiple tiny homes in different areas that are seasonal too, where they go back and forth, like coming up here to golf and buying a piece of land up here and putting a tiny home on it and having a tiny home somewhere else. I mean, I just see this as, you know, instead of your first home big and, you know, I see this coming.
There are a lot of banks that will refuse them, but there are many that will do it now, and I know for a fact because we sold my brothers and a bank gave them the loan. So, I mean, it's just something that's out there that you've gotta,
Was it sitting
Yeah.
on a basement?
pardon?
Are they sitting on a basement? No, they're
No,
just sitting on
not
a
all of
flat?
them,
Okay.
no. So, it's a good discussion to have for alternate housing.
Yes.
But I do have mine yet, and mine made my eyes roll back in my head.
Do we have a sheet on yours?
Mine had the green energy in it, and it made my eyes roll back in my head, so, no, I didn't do mine yet.
Okay.
So I owe you a report, so
All right.
if you would please put this on the next agenda, cause it made, like I said, solar panels.
Way to tease
and-
it. Way to tease it.
Yeah, making us all come back for the next meeting.
I bet.
Don't miss it. Lori's report is going on.
All right. All right, then, we'll save that for next time then, thank you.
Please do.
All right, then we got a discussion only of the public property memorial placement policy.
Just also wanted to provide a copy of this to the CDA. This was developed through the Parks Committee. It was developed through the Parks Committee because we've had some individuals that have wanted to do memorials in the park areas. We do have a couple benches that'll get placed within Rome Town Center. And it just led to the larger discussion that we should probably have a policy in place if people want to either put items within our park locations or outside of our park locations. So it involves the CDA in that you're overseeing some of that land development, particularly when there's that land sale in Rome Town Center. So just also wanted to provide a copy. It's not an action item, but this will also go to town board tonight for, it was forwarded from park to town board for approval tonight.
Didn't we see it at planning too?
Yep, I showed it at planning also.
Question. I'm assuming that when it says the town of Rome will be responsible for maintenance, that's gonna fall to the Public Works Department.
Probably, or similar.
However, nowhere in here does it give the Public Works Department the right to review the project prior to that, given, and weigh in on, you know, how much maintenance is this really gonna take. So I think that needs to be added, that at least they get a shot at it up front before either committee.
Yeah, they can certainly be provided a copy and put a recommendation when it would go to the committees for approval. And again, right now it's been benches, so not, you know, but it could be something more
I
in the
understand,
future.
but you don't know what's gonna come through your
Yeah.
door if you open this one up,
Right.
so.
I think what he's saying is that we need further discussion on what the plan
No, it's just,
the public works.
I think the Public Works should have a report to either committee, either Parks or based on, yes or no. I mean, and if they're giving a no, there should be a valid reason, but if there's a huge maintenance issue, maybe we don't wanna, I mean, maybe that would weigh in the decision-making process. We mention maintenance, but we don't give them the right to look at it and say, hey, I don't want any part of this, for various reasons.
And that could be, again, part of the report that would go to the committees,
Part of
when
the
the
application.
Right,
application
it
is
should be.
submitted, yep.
I mean, there should be a maintenance issue, a part of the report, because that should weigh into the decision-making process. If it's gonna cost the town $100 a year, $200 a year or more, that should be part of the process, or the decision-making process.
Especially when it could be, in the middle of winter and they gotta go do something special, plowing,
There's
whatever.
all kinds of,
whatever, yeah.
there's all kinds of.
Fountains having to be winterized,
All kinds
stuff
of
like that, yeah.
Fountains, that would
Yeah.
be for sure.
Yeah,
Oh, man, I saw that one in there.
Yeah.
I just
I just saw that word, much fountains, I'm like, oh.
shot that one down.
Right? Alrighty,
Just to place it.
That's my own comment.
any other discussion on that? Alright, great, so our next agenda items, including a tour. So we got the, University Alliance Housing for next month again,
Newsletter.
and the newsletter.
Or communication and news.
Or communication, mm-hmm. And then a tour, where were we gonna be considering the tour?
What if we would do, would anybody mind if we would do, but our meeting in May, I was just gonna suggest if maybe we would do tours every other month, maybe in the summer, or just because we might be getting busy, or unless we had one that we're adamant about doing next month, do we know?
I have no opinion because I'm not gonna be there.
I have I have a housekeeping issue. This is my last meeting, and I will do the minutes. Do you want me to do the agenda for your next meeting, because I will not be participating? Or you won't be able to elect a new secretary until your next meeting.
This is your last
Election of officers is at your next meeting. That has to go on the agenda.
Okay.
If you're
my last
offering
meeting.
work, we will
Sure,
take
yes.
it.
I will help with getting those sent out to the committee members. I can,
Oh, I don't mind. You want me to put it together and give you the draft like I usually do?
yeah,
I don't mind sending it out. That's not a
Okay.
big deal. It's
Okay.
just, I'm officially not in office after
but you won't be here.
April 30th
Yeah.
is my demise date.
So is it
It's a retirement. It's a second retirement. I've served since they,
failed retirement a couple times already?
I've served since they reconstituted the committee. And I think it's time for new blood to come in. Well,
Tom,
That noise.
Another tour.
Tom, you gonna come up here?
Then
I'll grab that application on the way.
You guys could live in under 45 minutes.
So there
Some
are
days.
Openings for this committee, is that something that?
There's
should
two
be
openings.
announced?
Yes,
Whose
there's
seats
two
are up
openings.
besides
There's two
yours?
openings that
Sent
went
out an
out.
email,
One is for my position, which is a 3-year appointment. And then there's another one
It was.
for, it says 1 year, but it would be a 3-year appointment, wouldn't it?
So Bill, yours is how many years this year? You have a 3-year?
How long have you been here?
No, yours is a 3-year
It's my-
term?
I think
It's a
there-
3-year appointment. Or
then-
4-year appointment, I'm sorry, it's a
No,
4-year appointment.
there's two, and they would both be 3-year appointments.
So
Okay.
who's the other person that's up?
It's
Jackie
Jackie's is up. And
But
Jackie's
that's-
is up because she filled Connie's.
She filled an
How's her
unexpired
term?
term.
Yeah.
And Jackie wouldn't be able to, now that Jackie will be joining the board, couldn't hold a citizen and a,
So she would be a 3-year term,
yep,
but she would be a board member.
that would be
That would be
subject
an
to the,
appointment
yeah.
Or a assignment, whatever the right word
Yeah.
is.
When we go through reorganization, that would be determined.
Oh, so is it my
Anything
last
else for the agenda?
Until something else happens? If I am
Yeah, if you're not if you're not appointed.
Potentially. But now that the election is done, usually what we've done is sent to all of the supervisors like a, what do you prefer?
Okay.
And it's just a checklist and that goes into the whole mix of reorganization.
I think there'd be donuts or something.
Celebration.
Anything
A
else?
little celebration party.
Didn't you get the newsletter? You were supposed to bring the cake.
It's always
Didn't
communication.
get the
I would have, I honestly would have baked, except I didn't have an oven for 4 weeks. So,
He blew a fuse getting annoyed.
so I couldn't.
He couldn't bake a cake.
Anything else for the agenda?
Any tour?
I'm okay either way. I don't know that there is something
Anybody wanna skip it for next time?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll skip it, skip the tour, then we'll just got the agenda items. And our next meeting then is May 4th, 2023.
May Day.
3 o'clock PM here at the Rome Municipal Building. Meeting's adjourned.
Adjournment time 4:29
Got it.
PM.